to extend a warm welcome to our participants joining us from YouTube Live. This session is brought to you by Indian Pharmaceutical Association Students Forum. Today, we are going to dive deep into the fascinating world of Metaverse, a revolutionary concept that's reshaping industries, interactions, and imagination. As we all know, technology is advancing at an unprecedented pace, and the intersection of artificial intelligence, virtual environments, and data analytics is reshaping the way we approach pharmaceutical care. The metaverse, often seen as a digital frontier for social and economic interaction, holds immense potential for healthcare innovation. In today's session, we will explore how this concept applies specifically to the pharmaceutical industry. I am Shalvari Sonalekar, your moderator for the session. I am currently pursuing B.Pharm at Goa College of Pharmacy and serving as the creative head under the project subcommittee of IPA Students Forum. The driving force behind today's webinar, the Indian Pharmaceutical Association, was established in 1939 at Banaras Hindu University. IPA has been a stalwart in representing over 1 million pharmacists and pharmaceutical scientists. As an NGO, it holds official relations with FIP and WHO. With a remarkable 80 years of advancing a pharmacy profession worldwide, IPA continues to play a pivotal role in meeting India's healthcare needs. Now, let's shine a spotlight on the dynamic force within IPA, the IPA Students Forum. This forum is a testament to the vitality of next generation in pharmaceutical field. Formed in 2008 in Mumbai in the presence of former President of India, late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, with objectives centered around facilitating connections, networking, and sharing innovative ideas. IPASF serves as a platform to open doors to information and new possibilities. It is widespread and spanning about 15 states with over 5,000 members. Before we dive deep into our discussion, I want to tell our participants that if you have any questions or thoughts, please type them in the chat box. We'll address them during the Q&A session. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our dynamic IPASF National Executive Committee for 2024. As immediate past president, we have Mr. Sainath Chari Kanuji. We have Ms. Rushali Doshi as president, Mr. Mohit Manchanda as the secretary, Mr. Ambati Vamsi Krishna as joint secretary, Mr. Vivek Kamble as treasurer, Ms. Aditi Roy as chairperson of public relations, Ms. Atufa Bade as chairperson of projects, and Ms. Vishnupriya serving as chairperson of liaisons. Let's appreciate and welcome them. Our third session for the day focuses on a topic that is becoming increasingly significant for the pharmaceutical sector, the intersection of technology and law in healthcare. Understanding how the metaverse impacts the pharma industry and accompanying legal implication is crucial as companies navigate this rapidly evolving space. Today, we will discuss the metaverse in pharmacy industry and its implications. It's an honor to introduce our esteemed speaker, Mr. NAVODAYA SINGH RAJPUROHIT, a seasoned lawyer with over 10 years of experience, especially in cryptocurrency, blockchain, AI, fintech, and other emerging technology laws. Mr. NAVODAYA is the founder of Pravaditi Legal and Coinque Consulting, where he consistently provides cutting-edge insights on legal developments in these rapidly evolving fields. His thought leadership has been widely recognized, including the prestigious Mondeck Thought Leadership Award for Spring 2024. Passionate about sharing his expertise, Mr. NAVODAYA regularly guides key discussions on legal implication of emerging technologies. Today, he will be speaking on a highly relevant topic, the metaverse in the pharma industry and its legal implications, an area that holds immense importance as we explore the future of digital transformation in healthcare. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Navodaya Singh Rajpurohit. Without further ado, I invite you, sir, to share your expertise on this vital subject. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Shavi, for the introduction, and thank you, Indian Pharmaceutical Association Student Forum, for inviting me to share my views on how pharmaceutical industry is shaping and how can metaverse, as a technology inclusive of AI, machine learning, big data, can help the industry to develop more and help the consumers, as in the ultimate consumers and the patient altogether, and how does this new emerging tech can lead to multiple issues with respect to what happens to the data that the patient provides during the clinical trial and everything else about the legal implications of emerging tech in pharmaceutical industry. Now, to start with, the basic introduction of there are multiple definitions which are provided by laws throughout the world. But in order to understand it in its simplest term, let's imagine like everyone has played a video game, everyone must have read at least one novel. So anything which is a virtual reality which you can create through your creativity or through your imagination can be termed as a metaverse. But in a recent history, the ways we interact with those imagination or those creativity where you create multiple scenarios is changed. So now initially with the help of books we could read it and imagine the text which is written in a book in our minds. Then came in the web 2.0 where we can interact and read through and play games where as in everything is in 2D. Now, with the recent development in tech, we are in an age where we can have, as in where we can see through whatever scenarios that we create in a 3D world. So imagine yourself working on a chemical reaction, and you can see the molecules in a 3D perspective by using any of the in the head-mounted devices, where you can actually see a particular molecule how it reacts with other molecules and gives you a perspective which was never provided earlier in without the recent technologies. Now, this metaverse cannot be seen independently without the help of AR, VR, mixed realities. Then you have integrated realities, blockchain. So these technologies, including VR, which is virtual reality, then you have augmented reality, which is intrinsically connected with what metaverse is and how it is perceived in a recent development. With the blockchain particularly is a distributed ledger system which is immutable, and it has already been started as in being used for medical data, so that the medical data or medical record of any patient is readily available for any of the medical institutions. Because, so for example, if I as in I am in a foreign country and I have to visit as a medical institution for any emergency purposes, and I'm not carrying my medical history or medical record, while it is stored on a blockchain, I can, or as in any medical association which has my data on a blockchain, can readily provide that data to any foreign medical organization to treat me based on what prior history that I have when I approach that institution. So this helps in diagnosis, and it also helps in giving the precise medicines or precise care that is required for any individual. Now, to understand what are the primary use cases of metaverse in pharmaceutical industry, let's start with the basic understanding of how metaverse is being used for stimulated medical training. So, if we start with imagining a world where medical professionals can practice complex procedure without risking a patient's safety or requiring a physical resources. The metaverse makes it possible through virtual reality simulations because doctors, nurses, or surgeon can enter into a virtual environment that mirrors the real life scenario, allowing them to start performing those surgeries or administering treatment or interacting with patients without any necessity of any physical insertion or anything else which could harm the patient. So if you can do and practice multiple number of times on a metaverse the same surgery, it will help. It doesn't improve the medical as in platform or medical institutions or the doctors to perform those surgery or administering those treatments in a better way without causing any harms to the patient. Now, take an example as a surgical resident can perform a virtual heart surgery multiple number of times, encountering different complications each time. This hands-on practice enhances their proficiency before they actually operate a person and cause any physical insertion to that patient. Another use case which can help, which I personally believe could bring a major change in pharmaceutical industry, is a clinical trial. Now let's take an example for maybe a cancer drug which is being developed. Now with the data, with the as in creating a digital twin of multiple patients with their data and using the new developments that of any researcher as in finds out that this particular as in chemical bound would be helpful for as in cancer patient, or this could treat this particular part of a cancer. This digital twin will help. Digital twin, just to give you an example, is so for example, if you have the medical history of a person who is coming for the clinical trial, you can use that medical history with an AI integration and provide multiple solutions to that problem. So if we are solving the cancer present problem, we have a cancer patient with a medical history with, for example, a tumor in his stomach or a lung, and the history provides a detail of that particular person rather than a generalistic view of how cancer would affect a general patient with a tumor in a lung. This digital twin of that particular a patient or a clinical trial patient would help diagnosing the problem which is specific to that particular person or a patient, and in reality could help multiple patients who could fit that basic the fit that particular specification of that particular person. So this, with the help of multiple digital twins of multiple clinical trial patients, and with the help of the diagnostic tools that we have, like for an example, an Apple Watch, which can give you a real-time data of as in the clinical trial patients who have already engaged in that trial, will help the pharmaceutical industry to develop more precise solutions for individualistic patients, which in turn will help public in general to avoid any mishaps of providing one particular kind of medication to a certain kind of individual, which can create reactions. So this digital twin will help in diagnosing the problem, diagnosing any reactions that might happen in certain kind of people with the help of digital twins, and it will provide a specification of medication or diagnostic tool or any specific uh, medication or tools that can be used for improving or solutions in solving the specific problem. Now coming to other use case for metaverse in the pharmaceutical industry could be where this is used in telemedicine. So telemedicine is elevated to a new heights within the metaverse by integrating artificial intelligence and machine learning and virtual reality. Healthcare providers can offer hyper-realistic consultation, patient receive personalized care through body scanning, vital sign monitoring, and even haptic suits, which can stimulate physical touch also. Now, to give you an example of how telemedicine can help with a metaverse is, so for example, a patient with a skin condition have a virtual consultation with a doctor examining a 3D model of their skin in real time, providing accurate diagnosis and treatment plans without an in-person visit of that person. Now, to understand how this could work out with with the technology, so now considering there are three multiple technology which are being used in here. One is a head-mounted uh, AR or a VR as in vision provider. Then you have haptic suits which provide you the detail with respect to or in-person physical touch of through the haptic touch. So, for example, if I'm going for a skin condition as in skin issues, and I'm visiting that as in through my VR headset, my haptic suit will give, or if the doctor is also wearing haptic glass and gloves, when he touches through the VR glasses any of my as in physical touch of my skin, that will give me a perception that a physical touch is being happening on my hand, which will help me also understand what is going on. Plus, the doctor also understand as in what part of that physical skin could have the major issues or how it can be resolved. The next the next way which metaverse can be used is as in for interaction for communication purposes between the patients or with the doctors. So usually what happens in a scenario where multiple patients are kept in a room to discuss how a treatment is evolving in a clinical trial, how a patient is reacting to that particular trial which is going on. Since most of as in most of the clinical trial also includes a placebo effect, it helps in diagnosing how a placebo is affecting a person and how actual is an actual medicine which is being provided during the clinical trial throughout that proceedings, and that restricts or removes the part where the people have to physically come and interact with the doctors or other people involved in that clinical trial. Now, as I mentioned earlier, with the help of AI and machine learning and big data, what is and what pharmaceutical industry is leading to is a personalized medicine, where based on the as in historical data of a patient, of as in medical history of a patient, that the medicine can be precisely made specific to that person rather than a general medicine. Though a general medicine would still be required, but this will help in diagnosing precise problem for an individual, and the medicine also being developed for a single person rather than a general medicine which is being diagnosed and which is being mass produced for a particular kind of disease. Another thing which can benefit through metaverse is reusability of a clinical data. So once a clinical data has been used for a particular research or a particular medicine, the same data can be stored and accessed through blockchain by other as in other clinical research, which is maybe similar based on similar age group or similar kind of people or similar ethnicity or any other criteria which is used in the previous clinical process. So this data, if it's stored in blockchain and a private blockchain, this data can only be accessed with a private key which is available to a certain individuals, or it can be given to multiple individuals depending on who is working on what kind of work on that particular clinical research. Another thing which is definitely going to work out, as it is already being tested by multiple companies throughout the world, is using blockchain for supply chain management. So, for example, if you are sitting in a foreign country where you only have the office for managers, and where you have management office, and you have your infrastructure for manufacturing situated in a different state or a different country, and you run into a trouble with respect to any issues which are happening on your particular medicine, and you have to track where this medicine has already been deployed. And so, for example, if you have deployed it to multiple states, so you have data available on your blockchain as to from starting from manufacturing or collection of your as in collection of uh, the raw data or some raw material from different as in places throughout the India, throughout the countries, and till it reaches to the actual consumers at the end consumer. So once you have that data online or on a blockchain available to you, you can quickly identify where this medicine has been deployed, and you can call back the issues. Then using AI technology or an AI or a metaverse, you can directly interact with from the management place and from the management place and to the manufacturing place, trying to reduce the time which you'll use in traveling, and travel isn't getting multiple people to travel to the manufacturing unit and tracing the primary problem in the manufacturing which is causing the defect in your medicine. So this could also help in a supply chain and reduction of time travel, in time used to travel to reduce those defects which has been caused in your medicines. I have already explained how artificial intelligence and machine learning and big data can help throughout the process of manufacturing till development of the medicine and till deployment of the medicine. This could also help in understanding how and which areas which you are supposed to target for marketing of your specific medicine, where you can identify which particular area is being diagnosed with a certain kind of disease, and how your medicine can help those in that particular geographical area or age group or anything else which can give you a targeted market for your medicine purposes. It will also help in interacting or continuous management with your customer relationships as well, because it completely removes the physical presence of market reps or the doctors. Plus, it reduces the issues with travel time of market representatives or as in representative to approach a doctor for a particular medicine, and to is in the wastage of time as in for traveling, then taking a specific time for meeting. And it usually happens that during that meeting, the point which actually has to be hampered is not hampered because of the time constraint from a doctor or from the medical representative. Coming to the primary aspect of how metaverse, NFT, and IP verification can work in pharmaceutical industry, one of the most important part for a pharmaceutical industry is to get patents for the drug formula or any drug which has been uniquely created by a particular pharmaceutical company, is through if NFT is used. NFTs are non-fungible token which stores the data and gives you a right. When you buy an NFT, it gives you a certain rights which can be provided within that NFT itself. So, for example, if tomorrow as Pfizer, I develop a new medicine, and in order to give license to multiple people and multiple companies throughout the world, the easier way to do would be through an NFT, where I create an NFT which includes all the IP data, plus it includes all the IP rights which will be given to that particular company which is going to buy the NFTs, and including the time period throughout which that can be is in that IP can be used. The and the smart contract involved in that process would continuously deduct whatever amount has to be paid by the licensee in that scenario. And once this at the time period for the license ends, the details of the IP which has been given to the company is also removed from their particular from their information data. So this could simplify how IP is verified, because once it is transferred from one person to another person, all the data, all the custody of that particular IP can be traced from one person to another person. even if it is in a private blockchain or in a public blockchain. Now, if somebody has any question, please go ahead and ask. Otherwise, I'll move on to the legal aspect on the legal implications of metaverse in pharmaceutical industry.
So you can continue with the next topic. We'll take the questions at the end of the session.
Perfect, perfect. So, in order to understand how the current regulatory framework works in India, primarily the governing act is Drugs and Cosmetic Acts, which governs almost all the aspects of how a drug becomes a drug and is made to the market, publicized in the market, and everything else with respect to pharmaceutical industry. Now, the primary concern or the as in the the major concern or the concern which not only affects the pharmaceutical industry but everyone in the metaverse industry is the fact how is the data which is going to be imported on a metaverse will be protected as a security plus as a privacy of individual who are going to interact with the metaverse specifically in the pharmaceutical industry. Now imagine a historical data as in a historical medical data of any person is available with uh, the pharmaceutical company, maybe during the clinical trial. Once once the company has that data, there are multiple implications of the as in on the company to secure that data, so that data does not gets leaked to any third party involved in processing that data or using that particular data without the knowledge of the person who's in whose data that is. And there is a requirement for the companies to not only protect the data but to give privacy of the data. If the data is being shared, the personal information of that particular person is not shared without a consent. Now, to understand how and what particular data would be involved in pharmaceutical industry, the key concern is the biometric data that is collected through AR and VR devices, as maybe it would be classified as a sensitive personal data under Information Technology Act. So, Section 69 of the Act of the IT Act regulates and gives the authority over data security and decryption of that particular data. This means that the patient's data in metaverse may be subject to government oversight, raising ethical and privacy concerns. To give you an example, a patient using an AI device for virtual health consultation maybe exposes the sensitive data or medical health status or any other vulnerable data which goes to the doctor. If there is a recording of that particular consultation, or if the record of that consultation is leaked, then it directly implicates the doctor who is using that device. Then it also implicates the company which is providing that device and allowing as in consultation between the doctor and the patient. So so the security of the data which is being shared by a patient is of prime importance for security and privacy reasons. This will of course increase the compliances for the company who are involved in processing these data, and also include this IT Act also includes not only implication for compliances, but also includes implication where the data is breached, or if the data is breached with the intent to cause harm to the public, or restricting that data to be giving back to the person who has given you the data, would also implicate the person in the company, and the penalties for that may result in imprisonment of the relevant person as well. Therefore, this is the primary concern for any data collection with respect to metaverse, especially in the pharmaceutical industry, because the data which is being provided is very sensitive data which can be used for multiple reason by multiple as in multiple actors. Coming to the next part, which is one of the issues which can raise legal implications, is one of the performing aspects of metaverse is ability to conduct virtual clinical trials. However, these raises questions about validity, reliability, and ethical implication of virtual trials. Now, the ICMR guidelines, which provides rules for governing rules for governing the clinical trials, would have to be either amended to include virtual trials, and the industry would have to work together with the government in order to provide how the data which is collected or done through virtual clinical trials is a valid and reliable data, which has as compared to what could have been done with a physical clinical trials, and also include how also include how the data which is being provided is not hampered with any other data which could create issues with the final outcome of the clinical trial. Now, to give you an example, in a virtual clinical trial, ensuring that the participant are fully informed about the risks and benefits of the trial becomes a challenge. As so, if for a clinical trial, a person or the patient approaches physically, there is more interaction, or it becomes easier for people to interact and explain the benefits and the risks associated with the clinical trial. However, if metaverse is used, while everything can be provided through that platform also, but the issues with respect to the fact whether it is actually being provided to a certain length where the person understands the risk and the benefit associated with the clinical trial or not would always be in a question if it approaches any code. So digital signatures and the consent form, which is used for like we are seeing that we have already started integrating digital signatures for giving official consent for any contract which is being signed digitally. If that is integrated in a metaverse for clinical trial, it becomes easier to receive consent from people who are coming for the clinical trial and accepting what are the risk and benefits associated with that particular clinical trial. Coming to the telemedicine regulation or the guidelines which were issued in 2020, while it is a comprehensive guideline which provides how telemedicine can be used in a particular scenario, it does not include or does not holistically include how metaverse could be implicated or could be put under the scope of telemedicine guidelines. Now, the key challenges which can be seen from in contrast between the guidelines and the metaverse is as telemedicine integrates into virtual environment. The current regulations governing consultation and sale of medications need to be adopted. This includes legal standing of virtual prescriptions and purchases made through virtual pharmacies, because while we are already buying medicines through a multiple platform like Blinkit and Dunzo and other platform which are providing medicines through a mobile application or through websites. The reason why telemedicine guidelines came into the picture is because certain kinds of prohibited medicines were also provided through these platforms, which required the government to intervene into this and provide a guideline as to what kind of medicine or what scheduled medicine can be provided through a virtual environment or through any platform. Now, coming to the point where it goes to metaverse. So if the prescription itself is in digital form and the prescription drugs have to be taken from a person, as in from a virtual pharmacies, the primary concern which is raised here is that the person who is approaching that virtual pharmacy is the person who is who is the actual patient to which this patient the medicines have been prescribed. Now, to deal with this problem, things such as KYC of the person or virtual identity of that person or a digital twin of this that person has to be verified before any medicine is provided through any virtual pharmacy and then delivered to the person's home, because it's not something which has been hidden for a long years, that there have been cases where medicines have been misused for illegal purposes, for intoxication purposes, and for other such illegal purposes. So to delve or to segregate that problem from a metaverse point of view in a pharmaceutical industry, the primary perspective, the primary thing which has to be regulated is the digital twin or KYC of the person actually approaching the virtual pharmacy, and the fact that the prescription is also verified through a director's, as in through a doctor's digital signature, that yes, this particular doctor is registered with as in with the regulators and has the medical degree or the ability or the prescription, the ability to prescribe those medicine to that particular person. Coming to the next point, which also raises one of the challenges for metaverse in the current regulatory scenario for pharmaceutical industry is if a metapharmacy dispenses a wrong medication or a service and a patient suffers harm, who is going to be liable for that discrepancy or the harm which has been caused to the patient? Will it be the virtual platform, which is usually to be considered as only an intermediary, the pharmaceutical company which has actually developed that medicine, or the healthcare provider who has given the prescription to buy that particular medicine from any other platform which you choose to go for the virtual platform. To give you an example, if a patient is involved in a car accident, might purchase pain medications through the avatar in avatar or digital twin in a metaverse. If the medication causes adverse reaction to that person and leads to a condition where determining liability across multiple service providers or product providers goes into identifying whose fault was it actually. While there is no regulation which can identify whose problem is that, there are judgments or precedents which gives you a broader perspective of how this could be seen before the as in judicial proceedings. Is that so that virtual, as in the service provider who gives you an access to a virtual pharmacy, would say that I am just an intermediary, I don't know what medicines are being provided or whether it is prescribed or not, or whether this person who's buying this medicine is actually the person who's going to buy this medicine or not, is the prescribed patient or not. So these issues would continue to evolve as we see how metaverse is being integrated in a pharmaceutical industry. But these issues would only be resolved once there is a regulation and the regulations are interpreted by a judicial proceedings. This uh, also raises an issue of ethical concerns as to how do we ensure that the participant in a virtual clinical trial fully understand the risks, and which has already been dealt as to how these ethical concerns can be addressed through data transparency or responsible use of virtual healthcare technologies. But all these things would become more prominent as we start using metaverse in the clinical trials or in the pharmaceutical industry in general. Now, this gives a broader perspective of how things would function in a pharmaceutical industry when metaverse is actually integrated in the industry. And this primarily concludes as to how we can see a metaverse evolving in a scenario where pharmaceutical industry is deeply integrated with the metaverse technology, including VR, AR, blockchain, then machine learning, big data, LLM, large language models, which can help identify precise medicine or precise process of insertion or a medical surgery which has to be performed in a particular person. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge and insights, sir. Now we'll move on to the Q&A session. I request our YouTube live participants to put the questions in the chat box and we will address them here. So I have one question for you. Are there any specific legal frameworks or guidelines that are currently in development that address the metaverse in the context of healthcare and pharma?
So while there are no specific legal guidelines or statute which can govern either blockchain or how blockchain or metaverse is integrated into pharmaceutical industry, but if you read drugs and cosmetic acts in in tandem with information technology act or cybersecurity laws or data privacy laws, then you can come up with how those regulations are going to govern a particular situation. So if you have any specific situation which I can as in answer for you in this particular scenario, then it wasn't if you can have precise question as to, so let's take an example of using metaverse for a virtual consultation as of now. Now, what problems you can face if you are using a metaverse in virtual consultation is the fact that whatever data that you share on the interaction, if for example that meeting is being recorded, or is if there is a third party involved in that meeting. So for example, if you are using Zoom for now, if Zoom collects that's in the data which is being was in communicated between the doctor and the patient, and the data is leaked, then the cybersecurity issues or data privacy issues would come in, and the relevant regulation of data privacy and data security, that is IT Act or certain, would come into effect, and this will lead to the implication under that act. But there is no certain specific guidelines or specific rules or statute which governs the interaction between pharmaceutical industry and blockchain or metaverse or AI as of now in India for sure. But there are laws in EU or UK or US, and multiple countries have already come up with regulations governing how blockchain or metaverse or NFT will interact with in different situations, and that can be interpreted as to how it will evolve or implicate pharmaceutical industry as such.
So how long do you think it will come in India?
So government has said, as in there are multiple news reports which says that government will come up with regulation on blockchain, cryptocurrency, and other aspects of digital as in blockchain technology. They said as in they'll come up with a consultation paper in September, and we're hoping for that. With respect to virtual environments and how a data privacy issues or how data security issues would be governing, we already have IT Act, we already have Digital Data Protection Act already in place, which is yet to come into enforcement. But this Digital Data as in Personal Data Protection Act will govern how personal information which is shared with any pharmaceutical company is going to be governing that particular data. And the blockchain aspects is yet to be seen how government is going to regulate. But the aspect with respect to data privacy, data security, all those are already covered as of now with under that Information Technology Act, the DPDP Act, and the upcoming Digital Act, which is going to govern everything which is going to be in digital environment.
Thank you for clarifying that, sir. We have one more question. So, would validated from virtual trial treated same as the conventionally validated drug?
Now, it's an interesting question, which has to be seen as to. So there was one clinical trial which was done through virtual clinical trial. I think it was in US, but its implication or the data which has been collected through virtual clinical trial may have its own limitations because there's no physical interaction. Plus, you'll be relying on most of the data which is being shared through not so medical equipment, which is being used by the patient who is was in join the clinical trial. But if we remove all, as in if we take everything on its face value, that everything which is coming to the company which is holding that clinical trial through virtual spaces, to metaverse, or using the data which has been shared by the customers or by the patients through not so medical devices, would always raise a question on its integrity, plus whether this clinical trial is actually effective until unless it is being actually carried out on a person through the traditional methods.
Okay, thank you, sir. In the scenario you mentioned about ADR, what would pharmacists be implicated? Also, would government regulate schedule of drugs being sold via meta pharmacy?
So that's what I included this in my session, that see if you are providing medicines through as of now, we can do that through any website or through mobile applications already. And for that, scheduled drugs has already been specified that these scheduled drugs cannot be provided through internet platforms or mobile application. Now, once it is evolved into a metaverse where uh, you can go for virtual, as in virtual pharmacies, these guidelines would still be applicable on metaverse platforms as well. However, if there is a prescription, because the primary problem with prescription is the prescription which is provided on the platform, to identify whether this prescription is valid. First, whether it has been provided by a validated doctor. Third, whether the person who is approaching that particular website or a virtual pharmacy is the person who this medicine has been prescribed to. If these impediments are cured in a metaverse through a virtual identity which is verified. So, for example, if your virtual identity is linked with the Aadhaar, then it becomes easier for the virtual pharmacists to provide those medicines also which are prohibited under scheduled drugs to a person who has been prescribed those drugs by a doctor who is validated through his digital signature or through his KYC on the platform. Once these impediments are cured, then there is a possibility that the law might evolve, or the technology might evolve to substantiate the problems which are provided in the acts or the statutes.
But sir, do you see a separate schedule being created for the drugs which are sold via meta pharmacy?
I don't think so. There would be a separate schedule for drugs which can be provided through metaverse, as in through virtual pharmacies. But I certainly see that there would be amendments in the guidelines for providing medicines through any virtual platform, be it as in maybe a website, mobile application, or a metaverse platform. Maybe metaverse platforms can be interpreted as an intermediary which is already provided in the existing guidelines, but that depends on the fact whether. So, for example, if I start doing that through a virtual pharmacy today, and there are implications, or somebody files a case against me tomorrow, and then I produce my arguments before the judicial proceedings, that a virtual pharmacy through a metaverse can also be interpreted as an intermediary providing only medicine which is prescribed under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. And I am not providing any prohibited drug as of now, since it is prohibited as of now. Then there is a possibility that an interpretation of virtual or metaverse based pharmacies as included in the existing guidelines, but I don't see how whether there will be a amendment to include a separate kind of medicine which can be provided through virtual pharmacies.
Thank you for shedding a light on that. Next question we have is, as virtual tokens and digital currencies become more integrated into metaverse ecosystem, do you see such transactions happening in pharma in the future?
See, while at a larger scale of I can see, so Indian government or majority of government has already started the project with respect to digital currencies which are issued by the federal banks or the central bank. But integrating cryptocurrencies for pharmaceutical purposes, I highly doubt that it will be included in India for sure. But the countries who have already started integrating cryptocurrency as a mode of payment, there is a possibility that cryptocurrency can be used for exchange of some buying and selling of medicine, even on a industrial level, as multiple countries have already started using central bank digital currency or cryptocurrency for on a industrial scale. But to do that on a retail scale, it's a far-fetched dream. Let's see isn't if we can do that in maybe next 10 to 15 years when we have better regulations governing cryptocurrency throughout the world. Until unless there are specific regulations which can govern how cryptocurrencies are used as a mode of payment, I don't see this being integrated in pharmaceutical industry for sure.
Okay, and next question is, have the pharma companies gotten into virtual real estate and digital storefronts in metaverse? If yes, are there any specific contracts or laws governing virtual property?
Okay, so while there are companies who have already started physical and that virtual pharmacies, not in India and not that I'm aware of in any of those companies in India, but there are companies globally who have initially started it when so this metaverse became the buzzword in 2020 2021 when Facebook changed its name to Meta. So during that time, there were multiple companies who started doing this in integrating virtual pharmacies. But there are multiple companies, including IBM, Microsoft, which are providing industrial level metaverse, which is helping healthcare industry and pharmaceutical industry in, for example, using metaverse technology for surgery purposes, for collaboration between multiple doctors throughout the world without any isn't the real time data. So that is already happening. Uh, while there is no guideline in India, like I said, with respect to metaverse, specifically metaverse, but there are consultation paper which has already been floated to discuss how metaverse can be regulated or how metaverse is going to affect consumers who interact with the metaverse. So primarily, majority of the concerns which has been raised in these consultation paper or digital personal data protection act with with interaction in metaverse is primarily with respect to data privacy and personal data. Otherwise, as such, there is no regulation in India, but we are expecting the regulations to evolve in near future and hoping for better regulation to integrate metaverse and other emerging technologies in pharmaceutical industry and other industries to see the evolution, how it becomes easier for the industry participants and the consumer or the patients to get a better healthcare altogether.
Thank you, sir. I think that's all the questions we have today.
Thank
A
you so
big
much.
thank you to you for this highly insightful session, sir. Now I'd like to call upon our IPSF Secretary, Mr. Mohit Manchanda, to say a few words and deliver the vote of thanks.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Give me a second. Yeah. Good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon, everyone. Today I am Mohit Manjanda. I am a secretary in the IPS for the 2024. So I am here for the vote of thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. As we conclude this enlightened session on metaverse in the pharma industry and its legal implication, I would like to extend a heartfelt gratitude to sir for sharing their expertise and insights. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your thank you, sir, for your invaluable contribution and for guiding us through such a complex topic. We appreciate your time and effort, and we look forward to further discussion in the future. Thank you so much, sir, and thank you so much to all the participation.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mohit, and to all our participants. We appreciate your active participation. Stay tuned for more such engaging events. Until next time, have a beautiful day.